Where you?
Oh,
yeah.
Hello.
Now we're talking.
Now I got the power.
Sit up straight. It's my
Morning, everybody. Welcome to the August meeting of the LEPC South Florida Region 10. Hope everybody's having a good day. Before we do the pledge, I just want to let everybody know, well, first of all, thanks for coming out. I always like to have people in person. Natasha, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know, it feels like forever.
So thank you guys for braving the traffic and getting out here. This meeting probably won't be a marathon meeting like I know last meeting. We had a lot of good stuff, but it was a long meeting. So I promise I won't do that to you guys today. But we got a couple of good updates, so we'll have a good meeting. So before we get started, let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. To join the meeting on time in hybrid, you must register in advance. When joining in hybrid, please turn on cameras and unmute accordingly. Haley, ready for our updated roll call procedure?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. Gabriela Afanasiev. Junius Aranas. Brian Brown.
Present.
Joseph DeLuna.
Here.
Elaine Donderis.
He's online.
Yeah, he's online. I got you. Michael Garcia. Marcelo Garcia. Oriana Gonzalez. Here. Josh Green. Peter Hamlin. Amy Hernandez. Francisco Jaconeta.
Here.
Eduardo Koenig.
Present, virtual.
Thank you. Doug LaValle. Jose Lopez.
Present. Present.
Thank you. Craig Marston. Yvette McLeod. Mark Moore. Ahmed Navarrete.
Present.
Jesus Olivo.
Good
Taylor
morning,
Ware.
present.
Thank you. Here. Thank you. Darren Renkison.
Present.
Oscar Rodriguez. So,
Present.
Dan Scarborough.
Present.
Pete Schechter. Corey Schwisso. William Senishin. Natasha Strogan. Marie Sullen. Julio Tejeda. Alvaro Tonanes. Jason Weber. Keith Weston.
Here.
Kenneth Yost. Gabriel Zahora.
Right here.
Thank you. And then now I'm gonna go through the alternates for those who I did not catch a name for. Do I have Mario Ho? Jose Tovar. Tara Wagner. Charles Grigley. Clay Pacheco. Luis Valdez. Beth Reese. Chad Anthony Smart.
Present. Hey, good morning.
Samara Kirk. Zuli Hemeyer. Stephanie Alami.
Here.
Thank you. Shamila Luchman. Julio Melendez. Tiffany Brown Francis. And Virginia Gallardo.
Haley, I see that Pete Schechter is online. It looks like he was in transit when his name was called.
No problem.
Looked like he was going down a hallway,
Thank you.
so he might have missed it. We got you, Pete. All right,
Also,
I'm
I'm
looking-
present too, Yvette McLeod.
Thank you, Yvette. I am looking for a motion and a second to approve the draft minutes from the May 21st, 2025 South Florida LEPC meeting.
I first, it's slipping. I first,
So we have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Who gave the second? We got a couple.
You're Dan, Dan Scarborough.
All right. Sure. Look at that. I got to use the gavel again. All right. Filling vacancies and enhancing our participation. Membership changes. Please excuse my butchering of any names. There's some tough ones in here today. Corey Schwizow, member. Vince Carlson, alternate, Monroe County Emergency Management. Gabriella Afanasieff, member. Travis Gladish, alternate, Allied Universal Corporation. Jose Lopez as a member, Beth Ruiz as an alternate, Chad Anthony Smart, alternate, Tamara Turk, alternate. This is from a large organization over a lot of geography for Baptist Health. That's why we have a couple alternates there. As a way to get some representation in there. Natalie Diaz-Paz, alternate to Natasha Strokin, member, Memorial Healthcare System. And that is it. Not too bad for today. All right. Innovative ideas for the 25-26 year. I'm glad that you put that in there, Haley. Last meeting, we talked about what we had talked about at CERC, the previous meeting, and the request from the state, and it's something that we usually do pretty much on a yearly basis too, is to try to keep everybody engaged, looking for ideas. Whether our idea is the different ways for us, for me, it's always how can we get the community involved to even know what the LEPC is and what we do. Training opportunities for maybe someone that we don't usually or think about providing training to. Whatever the ideas are is what we talked about last meeting for you guys to start thinking about how we can maybe get some more outreach. It's all about outreach. We were in a situation where last year or this year closeout, we had grant money that we don't like to leave on the table. We were able to successfully, find some really good projects, kind of at the finish line. And I don't want to be in that situation. I'd rather have the money passed out and the resources and the outreach done way before then. So along those lines, any ideas that you guys have, and if you have a great idea and you feel like sharing it now, that's great. If not, let's talk after the meeting or email Haley, email myself, Brown, and we'll have some discussion on it.
Do we have any budget for those ideas? I mean, how big can be or how small it has to be?
No, big idea, small idea. So the question from Mr. Zahora is, what are restrictions on the ideas,
About the budget.
About the budget.
The money on the table.
So, we're about to start October 1. Without getting too specific, we have about $100,000 is usually what the LEPC has for deliverables, right?
Okay.
I can tell you that I have already reached out to Monroe County because they haven't really, they're part of our region and they're building up a lot of hazmat infrastructure. And I wanted to make sure that they got their fair share, and they haven't done a lot of collecting on the benefits of the LEPC, and they were kind enough to host us down there, and they're getting more engagement down there as well. So I did contact Chief Martin down there and gave them the PIMSA list and told them that they're gonna have a nice chunk for training. So they're in the process of selecting that. Usually, as far as what we do for deliverables, there's some training dollars that the Broward and Miami-Dade teams are always very engaged in training together. So we get a lot of bang for our buck when we do trainings or provide a part of training, and then they supplement the training amongst themselves with the team, and even certifying new members. So usually we set aside some money because we know that they do that every year. Aside from that, there's still a good chunk of money that's left. So no real restriction on what we're looking at. Cheaper is always better because we could, make some more, activity go around.
Right.
But really, honestly, what I'm looking for is for people to know what the LEPC is and to try to get some engagement from us. And so we enjoy doing what we do here and also getting the word out and getting some type of resource or some benefit to the end user. That's what it's all about. Making everything a little bit safer too. So, good question. You got any, now that you did that,
I have some.
what's your idea?
I have.
Not to put any pressure on you.
No. But I mean, now that you're looking for exposure and tell the people that the LEPC, what is our story, what we do, and everything
Mhm.
else, I think there are a few events annually,
Mhm.
not before October, but I mean annually that we can participate.
Yeah.
We can be there. I'm thinking about we talk about the hurricane governors
Yes.
in Palm Beach, but also now I'm thinking in March we can be part of the disaster expo in the Miami-Dade
Yes.
Convention Center. We can have a table there or something.
So a presence at events is basically what you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, so get more exposed and people know who we
Yeah.
are and what we do.
I like it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there are more events around
Oh, of
Florida we
course.
can be part of. I mean, and I don't think that's
I mean, we have a tent and sign and everything else. It's just a matter of,
and I don't think that's have a
putting
big,
somebody there.
cost. I mean, that's
No.
that's inexpensive, just time.
so I'm gonna write those two events. Miss Natasha Strogan, I saw you had your hand up too.
I won't go as far as say it's an idea, but just kind of the concept. So we looking obviously at the hospital side and we need to reach out to all the hospitals and see, we have a lot of hazards within the hospitals.
Mhm.
And we have all kinds of batteries, we have all
Yes, you
kinds of
do.
chemicals, we have now vehicle charging stations, so there's
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff going on.
Mhm.
So I don't know where we would build in maybe, or could build in that outreach, training, guides kind of thing. So as I said, more concept, not even close to an actual idea, but if that's something that we could develop as a guide for those facilities.
You,
To have their facilities
Yes.
directors and security and EM people have a resource.
I had some conversations, I guess there was an incident with the batteries when I was in my former role. And we were talking about doing something to that effect. So I think your idea is good. Instead of just batteries, let's talk about like hazard labeling even. And mitigation. And maybe do something for the hospitals.
Yeah.
I'm thinking also, talking about the first day of first care and the hospital thing, maybe, I mean, we focus training on the hazmat teams and everything else. What about if we expand
Mhm.
to the toximedics and all the paramedics and all the EMS portion of the treatment after the hazmat,
I like
after the
it.
material exposure?
And I don't think that's a very costly training for some of the, I mean, for lack of a better word, it's basic training, right? It's awareness. So it doesn't get too technical. When it gets really technical on the response side and there's props and certifications and everything else, that's when we start spending dollars. If it's a matter of getting information out there and making people aware, we can usually do it for a relatively small budget. So that's a great idea, Natasha, and I know it's valid, because I've had some experience with this, so hospital training. Very good. I like this participation. Very good. Anything else? No pressure. All right. All right. So back again, probably the best thing, the biggest project that we did last year in my eyes, and it was a long time coming, which is actually now a model for the state, is revising the hazmat emergency response plan from a document that really needed to be revised. It was 219 pages, I think, at one point. And now with Shannon's latest renditions, we're about 45 pages plus some annexes. So Shannon is back again, or I shouldn't speak too soon. Okay, good. She's gonna give us a short presentation that kind of goes over the history of how this started. I know that some of you guys have probably seen a slide or two already. But Shannon, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning. Shannon is our technical publication specialist, coming straight from Boeing, I'm sure, or NASA, wherever she's at today. She's got a lot of involvement with both, and she has, I can't thank her enough for all the work and the hundreds and hundreds of hours she put into this document. And it is a living document. And I'm just really glad that she put all the work in, and it has to be reviewed annually. So this will be just in time for us to get this year's annual rendition done, our revision done. So take it away, Shannon.
Great. Just bear with me. I'm going to share my screen so everyone can see my presentation. Should be able to see a PowerPoint presentation. Oh,
We do.
okay, I'm going to put it in. Ooh,
Just don't
sorry, just bear with me. That's not what I want. Slideshow from beginning. Okay, can everyone see my presentation now? Full screen? Okay, great. So, hi everyone. It's an honor to be back here. I always enjoy presenting. Great to see and hear some familiar names. And I am coming live from Boeing today. So I'm all the way in Georgia for those of you that don't know. But I am committed to working with the South Florida LEPC and committed to being the primary author for the Hazardous Materials Emergency Response Plan. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with who I am, I'll give a brief introduction. So my name is Shannon Maharaj. By profession, I work at Boeing, and I work on the C-17 Globemaster III fleet. So I do quality control and assurance for technical documents for the United States Air Force. We also work with India, Kuwait, Qatar, and UAE militaries as well. And I am currently a master's candidate at Georgetown University. So I'm going for my master's in professional studies in emergency and disaster management. So I hold an undergraduate degree from the University of Central Florida in technical communication. And so I joined the South Florida LEPC in particular because I've also worked with the East Central Florida LEPC. But here I'm from West Palm, so this is like home territory for me. But I joined because I wanted to understand and apply what I've learned from technical communication into the emergency management sector. I took a few classes in undergrad and they really made an impact on me, a few classes in emergency management, that is. And I really wanted to pursue practical experience, and now I'm going the education route as well. So through my endeavors of reaching out to the South Florida LEPC, I am able to work on plans like the HMERP. And this is actually my second HMERP. The first one I did was for the East Central Florida LEPC. And so it's really interesting because I look at the work that I've done for you all here, and I think back to what I did with my first HMERP, and it has drastically changed. All good things, of course. So it's an honor to be working on this project, and I believe I've hit over 300 hours now. So it's been a year and some change that I've been working on this alongside juggling school and then my full-time job. But I am happy to be here. And so as I know you as chief, but I'm going to say chair. So as Chair Russo mentioned, this presentation is short. I'll keep it to the point, but it is going to provide a holistic picture of what the HMERP is, why it's important, and the major milestones and accomplishments with this document. And the key point that I want to emphasize is why this plan matters and why the work that we're doing with this plan matters. That's why I've been presenting continuously in different LEPC quarterly meetings for you all, because this plan has impact, and like Chair mentioned, it has been well received at the state level. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. So I have slides that I presented and drafted myself, but I also have notes. So if you see me look down, it's just because I have notes that I'm referring to. So the takeaway from this slide is writing matters. The way that written communication is shared with personnel that's in high stake situations where emergencies are dynamic, they're evolving, they're progressing. Words matter. The way that a document is formatted and structured matters, because like Chair mentioned, this plan, when I grabbed it, the 2023 version was already available. It was 219 pages. And if this plan is printed and you're caught in a hazmat incident and you're trying to find out critical information such as like your reporting time, you only have 15 minutes to report something. You take 15 minutes to find the information about reporting, and then your reporting time's over. So then you get in trouble. So to me, this plan needed a total rework, a total revamp to make it concise, to the point that not only will our facility and first responders be able to use this, but it's applicable to emergency management personnel, it's applicable to LEPC personnel, it's applicable to a wide variety of audiences. And the whole goal of this plan is to be operational, which is why it's highlighted in the slide. This plan provides an operational layout for a wide variety of audiences, and it seems like the audience scope is actually expanding, and I'll talk more about that in like the other slides that I have. But the whole goal with me reworking the written communication side of it is that we have to maximize the efficiency and the usability of this plan, so that way it's no longer just a deliverable. Because the problem when I first took on this endeavor was that, you know, counties would add on their information to the plan, but it accumulated to be over 200 pages. And if you were to sit and try to use this plan, even in a tabletop exercise, it's just not usable. So the written communication, once that is solid, there's a good foundation, it leads into the practical application, which is what you see on the other side. So as most of you may have heard, this plan is a deliverable to our state, but it also receives support from FEMA for usability testing. So this plan is dynamic. It fulfills multiple different requirements and criteria. And so the overall idea for having the NEP, National Exercise Plan, that is, the FEMA NEP funding, is to improve the functionality, the usability, and have this plan operational should hazardous materials incidents arise. And ultimately, with a well-written plan, there's the likelihood that like incorrect or incomplete reporting will decrease, because the ability to simply find that information right now in the current plan, it's like the first section of the plan versus I believe it was page 91 in the 2023 version. So there are multiple goals that this HMERP is fulfilling. And I just want to reiterate, this plan is so much more than a deliverable because of the traction that it's gaining, because of the standard that it's setting for even other South Florida LEPC documents. This plan is so incredibly important, and that's going to be the one key point that I emphasize throughout this presentation. If it's one thing to take away from this particular slide, it's what the document does and the fact that we're trying to minimize the amount of time it takes to sift through information and maximize its efficiency. So that way it leads to better response, better operations out on the fields. So I will provide a brief rework timeline. So as I mentioned earlier, I took on this project around November of 2023. And so the information that's either in pink or red, those are key milestones, changes that have happened throughout time with this plan. So initially when I took the plan to rework, we had a lot of conversations about what information needed to be omitted and what information needed to be rewritten, so that way essentially a paragraph's worth of information could be condensed into a sentence that gets the same point across. The key thing about what happened in 2023 is that I took a lot of time to read through the plan. So yes, I did read through all 219 pages, 219 pages. But we as in the LEPC chair and an LEPC coordinator, that's what I was trying to say. We all realized that there's a lot of information that does not enhance the plan whatsoever. So then began the whole process of deconstructing the plan and then trying to formulate a structure that makes the most sense and can condense the plan the most. So most of you may have remembered my presentation back in May of last year. That was critical because that is when I first pitched the idea of a document structure. So most of you are familiar with the 6 sections and Appendix A, and we also have annexes. Annexes are documents that are attached to the HMERP, but they can also be their standalone documents. So they're not necessarily part of the HMERP, but they're just included in the file, if that makes sense. So between January and May of last year, I also introduced and really enforced the 10-page per county cap. And that's especially important because that allows everyone to be more mindful of what they're putting into the plan. And it also avoids the issue of the plan becoming 219 pages again. So if there's a limit for what every county can contribute, that helps keep everything concise. And it's also easier to rework. So for example, if Monroe County has a major update and there's already information that's out of date, it's so much easier with a 10-page limit to be able to identify the outdated information and replace it with the new information. So then came probably like the coolest news that I've ever heard to this day, the FEMA NEP award. So how incredible is that we are able to do usability testing? That is something that I studied extensively in my technical communication studies, and it's so important to get stakeholder feedback and get critical feedback from practitioners as well, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to use the plan. So it's honestly really incredible that we have secured that support, so that way we can do an exercise and try and replicate a hazardous materials incident and test how well this plan holds in a variety of different situations, different considerations. So that was the biggest milestone, and I continued to work on getting everything in order for the 2024 version to get approved by the state. But at this point in time, this is when I realized that the HMERP is becoming a dynamic document. And that's also another point to really keep in mind. Sure, it goes to CERC, it fulfills the state requirements, but now we have things to consider for FEMA's NEP. And another thing that I came across was that this plan also has to be compliant with the elements of an a community emergency response plan. So that alone tells me that there are like at least 3 different things to consider at play for this plan. So it's no longer just a deliverable for the state of Florida. That's the largest takeaway that I had from that time period. And that brings us to my work last year and into the present. So I've been working diligently on revamping this plan because it's a plan that will not simply change overnight. It takes several revisions, several rounds of review, several different stakeholders to make this plan to where it's I feel good about it because it's a plan that there's so much information associated with the HMERP that it's an ongoing process. So my work from like the end of last year into today, I'm working on the 2024 version. I'm adding new concepts, ideas into the 2025 iteration. And most of you have heard that we are also trying to take paragraphs and turn them into pictures because pictures, when properly incorporated, can convey 1,000 words. So that would even have potential to condense the plan even further to make it even smaller, which is great. So at this point, the plan is gearing up for NEP, which I'm unsure of the status, so I'll have Chair Russo kind of talk about it at the end of this presentation to provide insight. But alongside with the CERC requirements, and then just the continuous journey with this plan, but it is definitely much more usable than it was in its former state when I first looked at the 2023 version. So there is a picture that I included in this slide, and some of you may recognize it, but the presentation that I did in May of 2024 was a pivotal turning point in the HMERP because that's when I was able to identify certain sentences, certain words that weren't clear and that could cause confusion with our facility owners and first responders. And that particular presentation really set the tone for this plan is getting a major rework. There are so many things that need to be clarified that could have significant consequences if misinterpreted. So I wanted to include a snapshot here in this presentation so that way you can see a glance of what my thought process was at the time. And it's definitely changed now because most of the content, I think, has been condensed as much as possible. And so now it's more so of trying to figure out the best way to keep the plan small at 60 pages is our maximum, and also implement ways that in terms of visual communication, how that can enhance, or maybe it might not enhance at all. That's what the NEP will tell me when we have like usability testing. But right now we are trying to figure out other ways to incorporate different elements into the plan to make it even stronger. So key updates and accomplishments. I touched on a little bit of the accomplishments within the last two slides, but the biggest, as Chair mentioned, this plan is no longer 219 pages. It's now approximately 45 pages in its current state between the South Florida LEPC, Broward, Monroe, and Miami-Dade counties. There's actually a part in the HMERP that has document guidelines that enforces the page cap, and it gives guidelines on how to provide updates to this plan moving forward. And by doing so, consider when the plan's printed, it is so much lighter to carry opposed to 219 pages. There's less time in having to sift through what you're looking for. There's clear sections, there's a table of contents that's up to date. And because this plan is so condensed now, audiences can actually get familiar with the plan before using it on scene, which is honestly a really cool thing to do. So it's much easier for everyone to become familiar. And when you are familiar, then when you do use the plan on scene, you know exactly what you're looking for and where it's located. It's now a manageable size for stakeholder review. It's not a dreadful document that just gets updates and gets sent to the state. Now it is at a size where stakeholders can read and provide feedback. Is this sentence clear enough, or does this section make sense? Is this accurate? That's where the plan is in its current state. Chair mentioned this. This HMERP is a standard for written-based time-sensitive information in high-stakes situations. These guidelines or the work that I'm doing on the HMERP are applicable to other South Florida LEPC documents. I've worked on SEMPs, I've worked on other like threat and hazard plans, and the same work that I'm doing for the HMERP can be used as a standard for those other plans as well. The idea is that we are reducing and eliminating content that doesn't make sense, that doesn't enhance the document, so that way it becomes usable and effective for on-field operations. So the 2024 iteration has received approval. It's garnered traction at the state. So I was fortunate enough to attend the Hazmat Symposium earlier this year, and the HMERP was a topic of great discussion, and the potential for it to become like a widespread state idea for me to work on different HMERPs and then use these guidelines to make other LEPCs have better HMERPs as well. The main thing is this is beyond a deliverable at this point. There's so many factors and considerations and accomplishments with this plan that it simply cannot be a deliverable, as in it's no longer just an update and send it to the state. It's an update and we're still trying to figure out the best way to make it as efficient or as effective and efficient as possible for the end users, which are our practitioners and our first responders and our facility operators. And of course, it's got NEP, it's got FEMA support. So this plan has a lot attached to it. It's got a lot of traction. It's important and it matters. I think Chair Russo is a great supporter in making sure that this plan doesn't lose sight of why it's important and why the work matters. So my last slide, and I'll keep this really brief, expected trends for upcoming iterations. So this is the remainder of 2025 onwards. This really isn't going to change much, but the visual elements trying to incorporate tables, charts, GIS information to make the plan easier to look at, and the information that's being conveyed in these visual elements should be parallel to what you might read in a paragraph. The incorporation of annexes, as I mentioned, these are standalone documents who may receive the HMERP and it's beyond 60 pages. That's because we have annexes and we have an Appendix A. The annexes can be their own documents, but for certain requirements, they will be attached to the HMERP. The biggest thing is usability testing for feedback. So we're currently at draft 1.1. The 2026 version will be draft 2. And I sort of developed that numbering system since I started working on the HMERP. So the 2024 version was like the initial draft. We're currently at draft 1.1 for 2025, and then so on and so forth. Increased stakeholder engagement and interface with this plan. I have comments that I'm working on. I have quite a few that I'm going through and addressing at this moment, but the goal is to always have increased stakeholder engagement, so that way I can get continuous feedback on this plan. And lastly, but certainly not least, this is a dynamic, evolving plan. There's, like I mentioned not too long ago, there's so much attached to this plan that it's incredible to be part of all of this. And I hope that you all can understand why this is important and why it matters. And it's not just limited to the HMERP. If there's a document that could use a rework, take the work that's being done on the HMERP and apply it to other plans. I think that's the most important thing that I've learned since volunteering for the South Florida LEPC, is that this is setting a standard for not just the region, but for the state as well. And perhaps we have a federal agency that's also part of this process. So there's also just a snapshot of what the first 2 pages of the plan looks like. You can see the document guidelines. This is just like an overarching screenshot that I wanted to put. The plan's significantly cleaner. it's much easier to look at. The principles of technical communication that I've learned in undergrad have been put to good use in this plan. So I will now give the floor back to Chair Russo just for any comments, remarks. But thank you all for your time and having me here. It's always so exciting to present and talk about something that is really an incredible project. But yeah, if Chair Russo has any remarks, questions, the floor is yours.
Shannon, thank you so much. I appreciate it as always. In-depth review on where you were in 23 to up to where we're at now. I think, as you said, it's a dynamic, it's a living document, right? So it'll never truly be finished, nor should it be, if it's going to truly be a response plan. I think one thing that really just comes to my mind when you talk about usability, responders or hazmat techs or somebody even at certain facilities that are used to dealing with hazardous materials every day, they can have some kind of complicated document, right? Or, or a process involved because that's what they do every day. The goal here, and I think I know it's a home run and it's been recognized as a home run, is for someone who doesn't deal with hazmat every day, the facility owner who might just have some type of chemical release and they have one or two hazardous, reportable chemicals, or the emergency, the EOC gets activated and whoever's sitting in that section, or something happens at the hospital and Natasha has to figure out what she's doing. And as rescue and hazmat and everybody's on the way and she's juggling patients and what are we gonna do? That's where this document comes into play, making it usable. That's what I mean by usable, right? Making it so that people can understand and what your responsibilities are, who you have to notify, basically to get the cavalry coming, right? So I was just looking at some of the comments of the document. I think the only thing that I would like to see, and I believe we did it last year, or well, earlier this year, is I'm looking at an annotated version, but if we have, after you get through some of the comments, Shannon, if we can get another version of this out to everybody, so everybody can kind of see what we're talking about. If you haven't seen it in a while, and just say, what is this response plan that you're talking about? As far as the FEMA support, it was a huge thing to get recognized and selected by FEMA to actually test a document. As far as any of the emergency managers in the region, any LEPC or past LEPC personnel, no one could tell me that a document anywhere in the state has been tested to that level. So we're looking forward to it. I'm not going to tell you all about it because I don't want to steal Vice Chair Brown's thunder. That's been an ongoing progress with FEMA, so I'll let him talk about that in a couple minutes. But thank you, Shannon. So next, the July 2025 State Emergency Response Commission updates. I unfortunately was not at the meeting. I was in Chicago, but Haley was our representative for South Florida. So if I get anything wrong, crack the whip on me. Make sure we get the right information out there. So the training task force. So the statewide training task force really sets up projects, what they call project boxes. And we work on a lot of things. I'm a member of the training task force as well. And we try to guide hazmat training in certain directions, certain hot topic items. One of the big things that I'm involved in, of course, is lithium ion. So that's why I'm always talking about batteries. But as far as the team assessments, this was another big project. The hazmat teams throughout the state have a team assessment that really hasn't been done. Again, going back to COVID, COVID really did a number on a lot of things, and team assessments was one of them. It's a big job to get basically the capabilities, the inventory, who is on the teams, and what individual teams, regional teams, and statewide teams are capable of, and get that to all the the response commission, so we know our capabilities in disasters and large hazardous materials releases. That's the purpose of doing the assessments. It's pretty comprehensive. It's been done a number of different ways over the years. Sometimes the LEPC helps the state. Sometimes they had a third-party vendor. Usually what they've had is state personnel. But the state, just like everybody else, is kind of hamstrung with personnel and their hands, they're juggling chainsaws with all the different responsibilities that they have to do at the state level too. So what was decided was that a third-party vendor was going to do the assessments, and they're going to do a very comprehensive assessment of all the hazmat teams. Then it was, hey, are we going to do this just the hazmat teams that respond regionally, like the USAR teams, the attachment to go into disasters? Are we going to do the regional teams? Or are we going to do everybody? And it was decided that we need to do capability assessments on everyone, whether you're a small hazmat team, type 1, type 2 team. But there's always an issue. There's always a but and another issue. So before we do the capabilities assessments, another thing that needs to be addressed is the inventory sheets and the team typing. Basically all the nuts and bolts in the book that we go by. NFPA, which is what we use for our Bible, and how the teams are set up and what our capabilities are and what we legally have to operate. That's all being revised. So as that gets revised, then all the state documents will get revised, and then it'll go out to team assessments. So it seems like you take one step forward and you get 2 steps back. But the timing is actually good, because if you're going to do it and you're going to do it right, which is we're on the path to do it right, you might as well do everything right. So everything as far as from paperwork, kind of like with the hazmat emergency response plan. So the capabilities, what you're required to have for inventory, what personnel responses and what certifications they have, that's all being revised. That's going to get calculated. That's going to get reworked into the workbooks. And then that's what the third-party vendor is going to go out. So I know that was a mouthful there. So that always brings up the who's paying for all this. The other big point that I need to mention is that Director Guthrie did back up the plan by saying they have some funding available, and we don't want to start this project and then not have enough money to pay for it at the state level. So he has dedicated money to put aside if additional funding is needed to make sure that these assessments get done, that they will get done. Did I miss anything there, Haley?
That's it.
Okay. Another big one that we actually in South Florida have helped out. I'm proud to say the offshore hazmat program. So as of the beginning of the year, the pilot went into the offshore hazmat was a cooperation between NOVA and the Coast Guard. And what the idea is that if something happens offshore, that local and regional hazmat teams are trained to get there and do a recon and possible rescue or mitigation until the Coast Guard, which even though it might be in their waters and their responsibility, they might be 48 to 72 hours out. And we've got a big hazmat problem that's only going to get worse, and it's going to be an environmental and or life safety problem to train up the local hazmat teams to be able to do certain things. So it was a great program. It had a lot of challenges over the years to get past the pilot stage. I think the teams down here were a tremendous help in getting it past that stage. And then, of course, grant funding came into question. So I know that Chief Lamb, who had a lot to do with the training task force with the chair and had a lot to do with the piloting this program, was going to talk to Nova University, and that funding is still in question. It looks like it might be there, but the state has also to take some HNEP grant funding and supplement it. So I'm glad to say that after all that work, and I'm talking about literally 10 years worth of work on this program, it's not just going to go away. So if needed, if the NOVA money goes away, the HMEP grant will be able to subsidize that training. And that's going to be given to local hazmat teams all around the state. Hazmat Symposium 2026, the call for white papers was issued in July. It actually just ended on the 17th. And I have a white paper in with Chief Rodriguez, who's also the training task force rep for this LEPC, and Chief LaValle to do our class on lithium ion emergencies and EVs, BESS, and photovoltaic mitigation. I can tell you that last year we had probably about 200 plus people in that classroom. So I would expect that we'll be back again, but that's all, wish us luck on that one. That's all up to the board to decide whether they want us back. So the Hazmat Symposium for 2026 will be in January 13th through 16th. We, of course, will be sending people. Of course, fire rescue usually makes up most of those people that go. But if you have an interest in going, please get with either Haley, myself, or Chief Brown, and we'll talk about it. So we'll definitely send some different groups. DEP, you guys usually go to?
Yeah, we usually send people
Yeah.
from all our districts over there.
Yeah. So if you don't have funding, let's make sure that we get everybody represented. It's probably one of the more premier hazmat symposiums in the nation at this point. They've done a lot of work with it. So on that note, the training task force chair vacancy, that's Chief Lamb. Chief Lamb, who also was an integral part, the man with the Hazmat Symposium for many years, is retiring from COCO. And he's also going to stay involved with the training task force, but he's gonna step down as chair. I guess he actually wants to enjoy some retirement. So Chief Pat Beagle from Ocala has been the vice chair. He was nominated to the training task force chair, and Chief Fiegel nominated Chief Mark Grayberg from St. John's to the position, his former position as the vice chair. I'm assuming, Haley, that everybody accepted?
Yes.
Okay,
Where the symposium is gonna be, the location?
Daytona.
That's on again?
So, yeah, so it's always in Daytona. That's the what used to be the first there, first care in the Hazmat Symposium, but the first there, first care is now called the Florida Fire Conference, and that's in Orlando.
Right,
But we opted as the symposium to stay in Daytona.
okay.
It's a great venue. The hotel and conference convention that they have there, as well as the partnerships with all the surrounding fire departments, is what the deciding factor was there. Okay, member updates. Florida Fire Chiefs Association Safety and Health Conference will be in October 2025. I believe that was in Tampa last year. Was that Tampa? Florida Association of Hazardous Materials Responders, Captain Mike Blosky's electronic self-assessment for state hazmat teams. That goes right along with what we just explained and all the capabilities assessments and documentation that's going to be changing. Florida Department of Environmental Protection, upcoming training courses, including spill response. I guess the message there, Haley, I remember we talked about this. They have some different classes that they're going to provide locally. Some of them are online and some of them are in person, correct?
Sure.
So as we get more information on those, or we get closer to, we'll make sure that we'll get those out to everybody. U.S. Coast Guard, updated instruction to the area contingency plan for hazmat and oil responses. And another big change, Florida State Fire College, the lithium ion symposium will now be in April this year. Last 2 years, we've had it in September. And I know there's some big changes going on the Fire Bureau side. And the other deciding factor was to get through hurricane season, and all the storms and everything else. So we'll be in April. What I look forward to seeing with the lithium ion symposium, now that the word is out on some of the issues to the first responders and to emergency management, I think what you're going to see some really in-depth conversations and technical experts for the lectures. But the big thing I'm looking forward to is you're going to see a lot of practical classes, which we've had demonstrations in the past. But I think it kind of capped off there. I think you're gonna see some more operational type classes to train responders and whoever's in charge of mitigating some of these, whether you're an initial responder or doing cleanup and recovery. Those are the types of things that you're gonna see at the Lithium Ion Symposium this year.
Where's the location of this one?
It'll be in Ocala.
Okay.
Yep, that'll be at the Florida State Fire College. As far as presentations, they had Hidden in Plain Sight. Chief Rob Hansen from Sumter County presented on a fire at Speedling Nursery on March 20th. Chief Hansen shared the fire response insights, hazmat details, and lessons learned. They also had Gopher Industries did a lithium ion battery management challenges, a recycling company's perspective. Joseph Truber presented on lithium ion battery recycling challenges and Gopher Resource Company technology developments to help address high contamination rates. Stay tuned. We might have him in a future meeting give us kind of a revised presentation on some of the challenges there. I can tell you from the training task force and from the state side, that's one of the big issues that we're looking at is the end of life for a lot of these batteries, whether they're damaged or not. A lot of times, what happens is the batteries get into a normal dump, or they're not really discarded properly, and then they become damaged, and then they start with either an EPA issue or they have a fire issue. In a lot of these plants, we're seeing a lot of that. And it doesn't have to be something that happens right away. And one of the big challenges is notifying the public on, there's so many lithium batteries in basically everything in our everyday lives. Every time you turn around, there's something else is powered by a lithium battery because they are so energy dense and efficient. The problem is everybody's throwing them in the garbage, just like everybody's done, even though they're not supposed to, with your alkaline batteries. And it's not the same problem. It's a much bigger problem. So that's part of the issue. And the other part of the issue is where are we going to put them? How are we going to properly dispose of them? And looking at a recycling company, a true battery recycling company, Gopher Industries is huge. There's a lot of heat out there that'll tell you these lithium batteries, you can recycle 99% of them. And that's not exactly true. It depends on the exact chemistry, the mix, what's in demand, how they're processed, and there's a lot to it. So hopefully we can have Joseph give kind of open our eyes up with the presentation. All right, the LEPC meeting. Member updates. Each LEP district presented at the meeting, shared briefings on developments and updates from the quarter. Usually what we do is just talk about what we talk about at the meetings, and any special projects, and all 10 LEPCs go around. So it doesn't look like we see anything too significant there, with the exception of hazard analysis working group. The hazard analysis, or the deliverables that the local LEPCs will do to a certain facility, to go make an assessment at the facility with reportable chemicals and make sure that all that is being done properly at the facility. And Marvin Combs was introduced as the new HA grant coordinator. State Emergency Response Commission, the big meeting. The following items were discussed and approved. April 2025 CERC meeting minutes, the statewide LEPC member alternative appointments and activities report, state training task force report, hazard analysis working group report, financial status report, hazardous materials incident report, and staff activities reports. The next scheduled statewide training task force, LEPC, and CERC meetings are tentatively scheduled for November in Ocala. That's a change. They're usually in October. Again, looking at the hurricane season, this is going to be an attempt for us to not have to reschedule meetings like we've had to do the last couple of years. With that, Vice Chair Brown, take it away.
All right,
Your report.
this will be brief. All right, on the planning section. So we're working with Chief Hemdes at BSO to continue to support the ethanol rail incident in Port Everglades. It's not something that LEPC is going to be heavily involved in, but we are offering our support. If we can get a couple of our members to join as observers or pride, But that's gonna be reserved for the Broward County Regional Special Operations teams.
It's a functional exercise, right? It's a functional drill. That's why we don't have a whole lot to do with that.
Exactly. We're not involved in a lot of that planning, but we are gonna support them best we can. Under the training, so the Peak W&D software rolled out last year. That's something that we supported through the LEPC. Not only did we get the software, we also paid for the initial training. And that included 1 year of support subscription. And the annual renewal is coming up. So that's something we're gonna have to discuss as far as whether or not the LEPC wants to support the annual renewal or if that's going to be left to the departments themselves. But so far, we've had incredible reviews and feedback from the use of that WMD software.
If I could chime in for a second on that, I'll say this. So when we got the peak software, this is the hazmat teams. This was actually a big win for all the hazmat teams in the region. I can't remember if it was 13 or 18 teams, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 18 teams got this software. And not only can you use it for training, but you can use it on incidents as well. Which with the funding that it was used for, it was approved because you can use it for training, but it sets up plumes, if you're at an incident. So basically whoever's doing the research, in real time, has a lot of resources on what protective gear to wear, how they're going to mitigate the incident, what the weather conditions, how they might affect, etc. So that there's a lot to it. It was a lot of funding. I think it was in a neighborhood of $35,000 that we provided to make this happen. But our original intent was that we would provide from the LEPC the initial, hey, here's your lead into the software, and then leave it up to the locals to reevaluate it this year to see if we were going to provide it. So it's coming up. I think it's in the neighborhood of $25,000 to do the renewal if we were going to do the renewal for everyone. So again, the pot of money with a big hit like that, $25,000 is a lot of money. So I'm not really apt to just say, yeah, just get it for everybody. I think a real evaluation, locally needs to be done too. And if you split that up between the teams, I think it's probably manageable for the teams to do. We'll have some further discussion on it. But the one thing I did want to mention is I know that the teams up here were looking at supplementing with a couple of days of training, like a 3-day training. And they're down to a 1-day training because some of the funding is gone or it's past the budget part. And I don't know if it was Fort Lauderdale or BSO, but I think it's in the neighborhood of like $2,500 where you can get 3 days worth of training.
So my question is, we had to discuss about the renewal of this. Do we have a due date for when
I
it
believe
expired?
I believe it's next month. It's coming up. It's next month or in 2 months. I believe it is September. Really, honestly, we never promised that we were gonna, the understanding was that, hey, we're gonna do the initial and then you guys would be, responsible for doing the further. I think what we should probably do is just leave the training aspect. It's really where the LEPC should fall in, right? That follows our mission. And that's why we got involved in the beginning part of it.
Did you participate also in the meeting for the specialties, right?
For the special operations.
Yeah.
So did they because the coordinators should be the point of contact to see if they want to.
Oh, trust me, they're calling me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They're calling me. I get the phone calls. But really what has to happen, and really I got a phone call yesterday on it too. That's why it was fresh in my mind. And I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't mean to hijack your section here. Really, I honestly think where we should leave this is if we're going to support training coming down from Peak. They do online training, but if Peak wants to send people down and do that very comprehensive training, I think that's where we should fall in with the LEPC. To renew the subscription, I think it should be, hey, we got it there. And I think for us to go further with that is just too big of a chunk of money. Yes, it has a lot of value and it reaches a lot of teams, But I think at the same time, they could divide that up. You know, $25,000 is a big section of money that we could use for things like getting other people to the hazmat symposium and, you know, and some of the other initiatives that we're talking about. Training, on the other hand, when you're looking at, you know, a couple $1,000s for those same teams to combine a couple, I think what they were gonna do up in Broward was have the 4 teams and then probably Miami, whoever wanted to attend. So you're getting 5 or 6 teams in the same room with the peak representatives. And we'll throw Hialeah in there too. You guys can show up too. Are you guys using the peak? Not to put you on the spot.
No.
So I know different departments are doing different things with it too. So I mean, that shows you right there.
That's the other thing. I mean, do we know, you say between 15, 18 teams called on this?
I'll research
How
it.
how many are they actually using?
Mhm.
Or how many, I mean, if it's worth it or because if
I'm gonna make a note to follow up with the individuals.
because maybe, I mean, they don't even know they have that subscription and they don't even use it. So.
Yeah. Sorry, brother.
Good.
Proceed.
All right. The last item that we have is the FEMA National Exercise Program. That's where we're gonna be testing with the Shannon's updates on the HMERP. So as you guys know, we have been accepted into FEMA's program, but due to the political nature of the FEMA funding lately, that was put on hold. So we did have the mid-planning meeting with Alec Cobb. So now we have our plan set up. We have the scenario that we'd like to test. And now we are getting some of our additional coordinators in to meet with Alec and his team. His team is restructuring right now. So we should be meeting with him within the next few weeks. And then once we have our coordinators in play, well, then we'll invite our players to the table. We're still on track for November testing of that scenario. That's going to be at Hollywood's VOC.
November 5th.
November 5th, tentatively. And then as soon as we have any other progress on that, we'll let you know. Long story short, we're looking at probably 2 tables full of 6 to 8 representatives each, and we'll be testing that plan and a tabletop exercise. More details to come.
So basically, it's gonna be an EOC activation, and FEMA has a really good scenario that we're working on with FEMA. The unfortunate thing was our meeting that we had the meeting. It was a successful meeting, but we thought we would have hey, we're definite for November 5th. Our team is back in place. Our funding is all there. It was, hey, we should have everything. We're okay to proceed, but nothing was exactly signed off. So basically we have to have another meeting. The hey, you guys are good to go was kind of a hey, you guys should be good to go.
Yeah.
So that's the nuts and bolts of the whole thing.
So we're working with the NEP team, and we'll get that squared away within the next couple of weeks, hopefully. And that is all I have.
Sorry, Shannon. I know she's gonna have a stroke if we do all this stuff for FEMA.
Yeah, she'll draw some pictures.
All right. Haley, you're up. Coordinators report.
Thank you, Chair. More than anything, I just wanted to introduce myself. I am a new face, and my name is Haley Lazzaroni. I have been a regional planner here at the council for about 2 to 3 years, and then just recently now, I am your LEPC coordinator. I am learning as I go, so please have patience with me, but feel free to message me, email me with any questions, any comments, anything you have for me. I am here to help you all. With that being said, I did attend the July CERC meetings in Cocoa Beach, and I met my LEPC counterparts from all the other regions in Florida. And I plan on attending the next ones in Ocala, like Chair said, in November. And then I did want to mention that the LEPC is supported by FDM through 3 main grants: the LEPC grant, the HMEP grant, and then there is a Monroe Hazard Analysis grant. And I just wanted to let you know that the LEPC as well as the Monroe Hazard Analysis grant, they both ended June 30th. And so July 1st was the beginning of the first quarter of those grants. So we are working on Q1, and then the HMEP works on a different timeline. So that Q4 will be ending September 30th. And then October 1st is a new grant of the new cycle of the HMEP grant. And this is the funding that allows us to do all the trainings throughout the year. If you guys have any ideas for any trainings that you would like to see, any ideas are welcome. So please feel free to share that. And then just lastly, I just wanted to guide everybody. The LEPC does have a webpage where we will be posting the majority of our resources, as well as all meeting materials, even the recordings if you're not able to make it, or would like to share it with others. We're trying to just vamp up our webpage and just let you guys know that it's there for anything, any resources. And then lastly, last thing, if you didn't sign in today, please feel free to sign in, as we just want to continue being organized. Thank you so much.
Yes, the website, and then back to the ideas of the ideas. Don't forget, we have a website, we have an updated website, and either to use that to facilitate ideas, or that might be part of the idea. No pressure. No pressure. All right, do we have any member comments? Dave went to the bathroom, so we're good. Go right through. Come on online, any member comments?
Actually, Chair, I'd like to say
Yeah,
something.
sure.
So going back to Kate's ideas, so I'm a graduate of the FIU Master's Program for Disaster Management.
Yep.
And every year they do a full-scale exercise. So it might be something that you guys could actually have a table for that. I was the lead planner for our segment from the Water and Sewer Department side of things. We did we had a chlorine release simulation, and then we also had a water tapping with our water treatment plants guys. And so just to kind of piggyback on what Gabe was saying, maybe having a table there.
I think that's perfect.
Students who are, most of which are already working in the field. Some of us kind of came in from a completely different profession, but nonetheless, I think might be a good idea.
When do they do that?
This year, I just actually received the email from FIU yesterday. They're actually updating the dates. It's typically in June, but for 2026 will take place, I think it's early mid-May.
Okay.
Just to avoid the whole hurricane season.
Gotcha.
thing.
That's a
Yeah.
great one. That's a really good one. I have not attended. I have seen clips of it. I've seen some footage and I've seen kind of a synopsis on, I think it was on a news channel or a YouTube. But it's a great idea. I like that.
It's a 2-day field course, so you can set up shop at some point. I do
Sure.
have a contact for you if you're interested in.
Have some kind of involvement. I think that's a good one. That's a winner there. Perfect.
One more thing, jumping on hazmat.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we found out last year was that our hazmat teams, or we have hazmat trained personnel in the water treatment plant, of course, because we house a lot of chemicals, particularly with chlorine. And so one of the things that we discovered, or that I came across, was that we hadn't really had a relationship with hazmat rescue response teams. And found that out about a week before, so MDFR was kind enough to do a decon, a very quick decon training session with us, and we were able to utilize their support. They assisted me in the exercise. And so one of the things that I'm planning on doing is to design some workshops so that we can do kind of a meet and greet and do an introduction of our chemicals, where they are, who the contact people would be at our plants and things like that. So if we can get a copy of that plan and then maybe some assistance at some point, that would be great.
I've got the perfect person for you. We did something very similar with the teams up here.
Okay.
The 4 teams act as one team, so it was easy. They're normally working together. Any incident that happens in Broward, 2 teams are coming. So what we usually do, because Hollywood had a big facility, we still use a lot of chlorine, right? That one's not switched over in that the South Regional. So same issue. And it's an ebb and flow. Sometimes, hey, everybody's buddy, and everybody from fire rescue knows the people that work at the plant. And sometimes there's turnover, things happen and you guys don't do a drill. So I'm gonna get you in touch with Dave Guernsey. who headed that up. I mean, we went to the point of new evacuation procedures, you know, cut a road through a golf course because the stuff that was on paper wasn't something that really would be feasible. And then I think the meet and greet, like you guys are planning in the workshops, that's where it all happens. It's just a face to face. So I'd love to put you in touch with Dave if you're up for that.
Yeah.
Because he'll tell you how we did it.
Okay, sounds great, yeah.
Okay.
Chief.
Yes, sir.
I call you.
This is it. I made fun of you when you left. I said, member comments. Dave's not here, so we're gonna get there. But you gotta go, so it's too late. You gotta go.
Too late, okay.
Yeah.
I got through.
Hi, Chief, quick question. Back in the day, Miami-Dade Water and Sewer used to have a program and they used to team up with the hazmat teams. And they had a hazmat response team at their facilities, all three of their sewer plants. So she may want to reach out to Jose Tarbo or Al Robles. They used to oversee that program when I was there. We were all together on that program, but they had a hazmat team there. They had the full setup, everything with the training. And they worked with
Excellent.
Miami-Dade County on it.
That's
And
the way
as a
it's
matter
gotta
of
be.
fact, if I'm not mistaken, the city of Miami jumped on board with them too.
Yes.
Excellent.
And we're gonna be working with City of Hialeah as well, because our treatment plants are all within either Hialeah or City.
Are all the plants down there still using chlorine?
As far as I know, yes, there may be some talks of at some point transitioning over, but for now, yes.
Okay.
And I'm very familiar with Jose Tobar. He's actually a graduate of the program too, so I just did a tabletop exercise for our INT and he was one of the facilitators for it.
Awesome. All right, I like it when we're having productive meetings. Thank you for that. Anything else?
Scarborough. Yeah, Chief, just really quick, just for awareness. Yeah, as you know, Chair, that we're working with DHS on developing and putting on a 2-day chem prep workshop down in MDFR headquarters, October 29th and 30th. The first day is going to focus on prevention and protection, deter, detect, disrupt. But the second day will be regarding the response coordination with a focus on medical countermeasures. So we just had our midterm planning meeting yesterday for day one. And then we have our meeting for day 2 coming up on September 2nd. Leading up, and we have about 50 spaces available for that workshop. So we just want to make sure that we get the right people in the seats for both days. The attendees may differ a little bit from the first day to the second, but just want to put it out there if anyone's interested. And we're developing the scenarios for both days, and FDOT may be a player in it for especially the first day. So I could get with you or with Crystal.
Yeah,
you
might talk with Crystal.
Okay. All right, and leading up to that workshop, we're holding the MGT 319 class, the medical countermeasures points of dispensing planning, will be again at MDFR headquarters, October 9th and 10th. That training was rescheduled due to lack of interest or lack of attendees. We need at least 30 attendees in order to move forward with that class. So I think I pushed out the link not too long ago, but I can provide it again just to make sure that we get enough people for that to go forward. Sorry to hog all the time, just really quick. We're in the process of updating our county oil spill response plan, as well as our ESF 10 hazmat annex. That's gone around to certain partners, and it, I think, just made its way over to DEP just for review and comment. And then I could push those documents out in through LEPC through Haley to for anyone who's interested, and to send me their comments and everything. And the last thing I have is, given that we have the Turkey Point nuclear power plant in our county, we have certain requirements through FEMA and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. We put forth we conduct an annual functional exercise, and every other year FEMA comes down to evaluate our capabilities. So in each evaluated exercise, we're focusing on a different area, and most of the time we're focusing on the 10-mile emergency planning zone, where the primary threat is the direct contact with the gas plume that would slowly be making its way across the county. But the next evaluated exercise in 2027, either in January or February of that year, will be the ingestion pathway exercise. So that's the 50-mile radius around the plant, which includes all of Miami-Dade, most of Monroe County, parts of Collier and Broward County, up to around the Fort Lauderdale area. And the protective actions for the ingestion pathway is, embargo of, produce and dairy products. The concern is somebody ingesting a product that has been contaminated with, alpha, beta, radiological products,
Right.
and then in monitoring of water or water plants and so forth. So a lot more. The ingestion pathway exercise entails a lot of planning. It's a 2-day exercise, and we're going to have a series of workshops leading up to that. And we're going to invite maybe some partners who haven't been part of the planning team in the past, such as maybe water and sewer, and so to take part, to make sure that we understand where the vulnerabilities are, and that they're properly addressed, and exercise so we can see where the gaps are.
So this is gonna culminate, I guess, what you're saying is you're gonna have a couple different workshops and exercises or classes that are gonna lead up to 2027, the FEMA
For
stuff,
the radiological, yeah.
for the ingestion
FEMA.
exercise,
Yes.
50-mile, which is everybody. For the most part.
So, we're gonna involve the ag extension and
Mhm.
other partners in the planning of that.
I don't even want to think about this right now, because it's gonna just snowball.
Right,
Who you can, if you're
Yeah.
talking about ingestion and talking about rad particles and
right, so.
commodity flows.
Yeah. So the first day
Where
is gonna
everything's
focus on more the plume, the direct response, just directly following the release. And then the second day is gonna be all about, okay, recovery response, transitioning over to recovery, and going out to our 50-mile exposure.
Yeah.
So we have this January, we're going to have it's our non-evaluated year. And we're gonna focus mainly on the plume or the 10-mile, but if anyone's interested in coming down to the EOC or possibly FPL's EOF to observe what that looks like, just as part of the lead up for 27, just reach out to me, I'll let you know, let you know where we can plug you in. Okay,
Awesome.
all right, thank you.
Dan, I apologize that I saw the meeting was yesterday. I was out in Big Cypress doing some teaching yesterday.
Yeah,
But I do have a follow-up question from our first meeting.
okay,
Whatever, we'll talk offline.
okay, perfect.
Not a question so much, something that I mentioned, and I want to know if you want me to follow up on.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Anybody else? Haley, something came to mind. Didn't we have somebody we want? Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Quick question, do we have dates for the ethanol rail incident Port Everglades? The reason why I'm asking is because we always do confined space rescue, entry rescue training with the Broward Fire Department in November and also March. So I want to know if we need to start looking at different dates.
Well, this is gonna be, it'll probably be the same team, the special operations team.
Okay,
Let's see if Penn Best got it. Well, I might have to make a phone call for you.
okay.
I know who's running the drill with, I think they're using a vendor. Where'd that go? Invest?
Invest,
No, we'll have to get the dates for you. I don't
Okay.
remember.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You got somebody back there.
Sorry, just to tag along to that, and some of us were in the meeting, I don't know if it's the same one, but the US Coast Guard Center Miami is also doing a huge full scale at Port Everglades at the end of April, so there might be some overlap.
Okay.
I did actually bring up the LEPC during our concepts and operations meeting,
Okay,
so they may be reaching out. Just.
oh, great. Excellent, thank you. What was I thinking about? Oh, Haley, did we
Yes.
have an introduction we were gonna make for somebody?
Yes, Jeff Galloway from Tetra Tech. We were gonna wait until public comments
Oh.
and finish up with members, just if
Gotcha.
they had anything else.
Members? Okay, public comments.
Mr. Jeff, are you online?
There it is.
Yeah, I see you. You are muted.
You're muted.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon. Jeff Galloway. I am currently a consultant with Tetra Tech, a company who does a vast array of marketing, planning, hazmat, LEPC, commodity flow studies, exercises from tabletops to full scale. Retired from Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, so I'm well versed in South Florida, and currently now live in the St. Augustine area, and just trying to introduce myself today, reaching out to most of the regional LEPCs, and just offering our services. We do quite a bit of commodity flow studies, training and exercise, after action reports, hazard mitigation planning, things like that. And to the Turkey Point, I'm heavily involved with Southern Nuclear. We do a lot of training in New York, Georgia, and all that with MS1 hospitals and emergency responders on radiological contaminated patients, as well as with the hospital. So just a vast array. As I said, again, I retired from Palm Beach County in 2006. So was down there and lived all my life. I was born in Hollywood in the Circle. So well vast and know that that area down there, and just kind of doing an introduction today. And Haley, thanks for letting me introduce myself, and any questions, or I'll have my email in the chat if anybody wants to reach out to me privately. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. That's what I was gonna suggest. Make sure you get all your contact info in the chat there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chief.
And thank you for your service. I'm a bunch of Palm Beach guys. I'll talk later.
Most of the people I know are all retired now, but thank you.
Good thing.
Yeah.
All right, as far as administrative items, we have a revised list of everything that, basically that we went over, and a lot of different resource materials, the ERGs, the CERC meeting materials, minutes, and everything else, are now also listed, or have been, but the concise list is on the website. Am I correct, Haley?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. And the next meeting, the next South Florida LEPC meeting is tentatively scheduled for November 12th, 2025. Please note that this date is the second Wednesday of the month instead of the usual third Wednesday.
We'll see if that conflicts with the regional. Steve.
I already brought that up. I think we have a tentative plan. With the moving around of everything with the state, as Vice Chair Brown has talked about. Obviously, there might be some moving around, because I don't think they named an actual date for the state, did they?
I don't believe a certain date, but it is reserved for the first week of
For the first
November.
week,
And
right?
I believe it's around the 5th through the 7th, around there.
So, second Wednesday. Some people have some big plans around here, so we're gonna switch it up from the third Wednesday to the second Wednesday. And that's it. Anybody have anything else? Did we miss anybody or anything? And I'll be sticking around for a couple minutes if I know we got some follow-ups, maybe we do some number exchanges and make sure I get you Dave's number and everything as well. So with that, let's adjourn the meeting. Meeting adjourned.
You want a motion in a second?
Oh, sure, let's do it the right way.
Thank you all.
No, let's do it the right way.
Bye, y'all.
Thank
you, Haley.
Thank you, everybody online.
I just contact my.